I'm Jonathan Hayes of the St. Louis Battlehawks, and this is the XFL Show.
Welcome, football fans. This is the week of January 30th, 2022, on the road to kickoff 2023. This is For the Love of Football, and this is the XFL Show. I'm Alan.
I'm Vince.
And I'm Bryant.
The XFL news is kind of thin this week, but the USFL has all their coaches and their first game scheduled. Meanwhile, we're live in color here at Bryant's abode. Let's ram it! This is episode 207. Mr. 5-5 is in the USFL. The Rams are in the NFC Championship. I got a real Ram vibe this week on the show. It feels very Rammy, Vince.
I'll be cheering for the Rams. I mean, they were the savior of the season.
They did beat Brady in maybe his last game ever. Thank you.
And the Rumble was in St. Louis, right? There's some Ram ties there.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
You can't just enjoy your team being in the NFC Championship. You also have to just thumb your nose at the people of St. Louis.
I'm just saying.
He'll have out his
They had the hometown boy Sheamus, and he could not win for St. Louis.
$sign jersey on.
Caw. We are 54 weeks from kickoff 2023. And Vince here, special edition to the show.
Out of nowhere.
We're all in person this week, so we decided to allow Vince back on the program because there's a lot of USFL I want to hear from him. What's going on?
Time out. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge, I'm going to acknowledge this. I'm going to acknowledge the head of the table currently and how much of a loser he is because he lost our bet with the Kings and the Penguins.
Yeah, the Kings.
And I said I was going to cash that in. But I'm cashing it in now.
But then there's a game tomorrow.
No, I'm going to cash it in now. So here you go. I brought your attire for the show.
Oh, man, it's so hot.
Here you go.
This better be at least a Robitaille. There's nobody even on the back.
No, they're Kings players.
Did they ever finish making that Robitaille statue in front of
Yes, it is. It's there.
Now I'm going to smell like him. This is horrible. Whatever. I'll wear this, though. This isn't too bad. It's at least not a Ducks uniform. I'll say that.
All right, I'm not a Ducks fan. I would be more embarrassed to wear that.
That is Ducks jersey.
That's a mighty Ducks.
That's
Conway.
That's the Ducks.
No, that's
this
Charlie
is
Conway.
Embarrassing, but there you go. I did lose a bet. I'm a man of my word. Okay, I'll wear this during the show. Jeez.
So, enough with the hockey talk on the football show.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Now we're going to talk USFL.
724-565-4XFL is the XFL fan line for you to call if you want to get involved in the show, or text, leave a voicemail, however you want to do it. Standard text messaging rates do apply. Or there's at XFL Show on social media. Wherever you're on social media, we're there too. At XFL Show. Let's talk some XFL and some USFL there. You know, Bryant will even interact as begrudgingly probably. This week now it's all kind of solidified. It's calcified. It's like a full league with coaches and all and a date to kick off. But no players.
Or a rule book. Or just any information, bro. Lasers. We still have lasers.
We do know there will be lasers. And I can't wait to hear what Vince has to say about that. But before we talk USFL with Vince, we'll remind you that we are brought to you by Pretty Easy Podcasts. You can go to prettyeasypodcast.com right now to get your own podcast started today with all the help you'd ever need, whether you're in person, remote, your guests are plentiful and they have all kinds of microphones. It doesn't matter. That's the best part. You always run into Zoom calls where people have different setups, loud noises in the background so people are more professional. Doesn't matter with Pretty Easy Podcasts. They help you and make you sound great either way. It's great. Fortunately for us, we're pros ourselves. We get together and we do it in person. I'd love to do this more, but we take it where we can get it. Pretty Easy Podcast makes it happen. They're putting it together for you today, and they can put your own show together. So check them out at prettyeasypodcast.com.
Because they make podcasting pretty easy. So easy that if you're podcasting and you're in an open room and your wife happens to fall asleep in the other room and she's snoring like a mother, they can drown that out too.
That's true. You're not talking about my wife.
I'm reading it.
My wife does not snore.
It's off the.
And if she did, it would be beautiful and melodic.
I don't know what you're talking. It's literally just
we might need to have a mixed tag team match one day on the show with wives.
Can we do? Can I get Delaney as a partner instead?
Well, you have to wait. If I have a kid, then we have the six-person tag match. All right, Vince, welcome to the show.
It's been a while.
Been waiting to have you on since all this USFL stuff's come out, and we've gotten some information from the USFL over the last few weeks. So I hope you're prepared to talk about it. You know it, right? Or was it us who broke the news to you? Like from a football fan perspective, how the USFL is rolling out their league. Do you think it's sufficient?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I'm not one of these people that need to know every single detail about the league going into it. So I know when it's going to start. I think
April 16th,
maybe the tax day. We know who some of the coaches are. I know who my coach is, Kirby Wilson. That's what's most important.
Hammer down.
Hammer time. I don't. The players aren't on the team yet, but I mean, granted, I'm not going to know who most of them are anyway. So, it doesn't really matter to me. It's going to still be football, I presume. I think the main thing I want to know is how many players are going to be on each team.
7 on 7 or 11 on 11.
While playing, because we do know that there's only going to be 37?
38? Yeah, around there. I forgot.
38.
That's 7 on 7 to me.
That doesn't scream a full roster, as well. I'll tell you that.
And you're going to know the players, though.
Let me ask you, Vince, where have you gotten your USFL news from? Is it Twitter? Is it the internet? Are you on their newsletter? Are you the Discord channel that you're on with us?
It's mostly this is the XFL show, the best source of USFL news that you could find.
I don't know about that, but we are talking about all the USFL.
Well, we keep it real as it compares.
And granted, there hasn't really been much news. But the news that is out there, you guys do cover it, and I can't encourage the listeners enough to keep continuing to listen to This Is the XFL show as we are on the road to the USFL 2022 tax day.
Yes, we appreciate that.
But if you do follow any of the USFL official Twitter accounts, they are covering all this information. They give you all the announcements. I broke the news to Alan about the Pittsburgh Maulers coach.
He did?
I've just been all over it.
Fast on the Twitter coming back.
And I'm very excited, counting down the days to tax day.
Who's the coach? Kirby Smart?
Kirby Wilson. Kirby pulling double duty. Be coaching Georgia and the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Well, maybe there's nothing for him to do with Georgia.
Basically. I mean, the right name, he just goes over to Alabama, coaches the Pittsburgh Maulers, and comes back to Georgia.
I appreciate the kind words, Vince, and we'll get to more USFL stuff. But I do want to dink and dunk a little bit because the XFL newsletter, once again, hits your inboxes if you subscribe to it, the XFL.com newsletter. And, they're really just sending you old articles because 2 weeks in a row and they've sent information on stuff that came out like in November, I think, with the hires in the front office. But that's an active newsletter, and it's going out each week, even though the content's not.
Well, it could also be the volume of subscribers, right? If there's all of a sudden a push for new subscribers, you got to give them the news that they might not know about. So,
you're supposed to make up news?
You can't make up news, but there are podcasts that they could be affiliating themselves with and putting
out. There are only 2 people in this entire metaverse that were employed by the XFL when there was no other live entertainment.
Yeah. That's true.
Right?
In the universe, the known universe.
The known universe. So you need some entertainment.
You might not be a lot of new stuff there, but I still encourage you, subscribe to that XFL.com newsletter. Just go straight there, XFL.com. You'll get the official news as it comes in. But right now, there's nothing. We're still in that holding period between 2 to 3 weeks that The Rock promised on Monday Night Football.
We are going to be hearing something very soon. He played that. Very pro wrestling of making an announcement that you're going to be making an announcement. I don't think nobody should have suspected anything less than that. Yeah, anything more.
I stayed home from the from Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, and I told you how stupid that was.
Yeah, it was. But it's fine. You know what I mean? I heard it live, at least, kind of. I wasn't watching the Manning Cats, but I heard it.
You
never know with SoFi Stadium.
So you stayed home to watch that, and you didn't even watch it.
I did. I watched the game.
He wanted to see Louis Riddick. Obviously, Hail to Pitt.
Yeah,
so that's why.
I'm confused.
I can't afford it. I don't have
the Manning Cast.
He watched He didn't watch
ESPN2 is a premium channel on direct.
That was a premium live event.
The
Manning Cast.
That's a cable network that you can respect.
Yes, we can get Vince and I could talk about respectable cable channels all day long. Let's go though into the XFL Fan Line, where we got a message from Charlie in Asheville this week, who said, "Brian, I know you love WWE and the Rams. Are you looking forward to the Rumble or the Rams versus 49ers more this week?" We just finished the Rumble, actually, Brian, but Charlie sent this prior. So what is it? Is it Rumble or Rams?
Question, where's Asheville?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful. Might be flying in there if I get to go to Virginia.
It's a little further. They have one, but I would just fly to Roanoke.
I didn't know North Carolina was so north. I thought it was more towards the south. Anyway. What am I most excited? Geography. Yes. I'm very good at it. I would say I was definitely more excited. Here's the thing. I love the Rams. I love football. You are always guaranteed a premium event when you tune into a WWE pay-per-view. Oh, I'm sorry. WWE premium live event.
Live event. Look, it was very
I love the Rams. I'm very excited. I'm looking for tickets to see if they drop a little bit so I can go to the game. If I don't, it's fine. The Rumble, you're just guaranteed entertainment. There could be a blowout. The Rams could get killed tomorrow or today, whenever you listen to this.
Although, I would say I agree. The Rumble is more exciting, but I'm not a Rams fan. But what you could do tomorrow, you could get bang for your buck. So if you find a cheaper ticket, go to the game tomorrow for the NFC title game and just find somewhere to stow away for a week or 2 weeks. Sleep inside SoFi Stadium until Super Bowl, and you could go to both games.
That's 2 weeks.
There's concessions. If you can ninja your way through the corridors.
Ninja.
You're fleet of foot. You can do it. Dance your way through SoFi Stadium.
No
one will notice.
Ninja?
Yeah.
So just Inglewood Ninja it?
Yes.
The entire weekend?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
And then you need to be holding up a sign that says, "Hey, Alan, anything's possible."
Yeah.
Woohoo! Lasers.
I am like the Mr. Feeney of the show. But we'll see what Bryant does for the NFC title game. We'll get back to Super Bowl time later because it's going to affect the XFL for sure. But let's get into some USFL talk. I've been waiting to talk this with Vince forever. So we're going to talk USFL in this week's cover too.
Good crisp football.
So the last two coaches have been announced, Vince, and they were supposed to be announced with the other two coaches that were previously announced. It was announced that 4 coaches would be announced, but then they only gave us 2, and then a week later they gave us 2 more. I don't know. Whatever. The USFL has all their coaches, and those coaches are Jeff Fisher for the Michigan Panthers and Larry Fedora, the former UNC head coach for the New Orleans Breakers. So now we have 8 coaches. And the USFL is kind of ready to go. Those guys are going to put their teams together. April 16th, it's on. We got the Stallions and the New Jersey Generals going at it. And it's going to be simulcast on Fox and NBC simultaneously.
Yep.
First time ever.
Since Super Bowl 1.
Since Super Bowl 1. A simulcast, network TV. You flip through, you're going to see on Fox, you're going to see the USFL. You go to NBC, you'll see the USFL. Pretty cool. But we have the USFL coaches. We have a kickoff date. No players. What's your take now on the USFL? First, let's talk about the coaches. Would you say they're premium coaches? Did they overachieve, underachieve? Where are you at on the coaches, the USFL?
I mean, Jeff Fisher's a big name. Not necessarily, always a tremendous amount of success in the NFL, but a huge name, a guy that was a coach for a long time. Maybe with the exception of Bob Stoops, he has a higher pedigree than any coach that the XFL had, I would say. But but
better than bigger than Bob Stoops.
I said maybe with the exception of Bob Stoops. And you're talking college versus pros. It's hard to say what because is Jeff Fisher even somebody that you want? Or, I mean, what for the
on his way out of the NFL, it was pretty apparent that Jeff Fisher was not long for that league.
Now you talk about the USFL being a television product.
Yes,
which
is a TV show.
Yes, and to me, you want the most popular actors that you can find for your television show. So from that standpoint, I think it's great. If you're maybe the XFL and you're trying to build this into a real league, as maybe as niche as that could be, then you're maybe you're looking for some more young, hungry coaches, maybe some more people that are going to make more noise with innovation and trying to reimagine the game of football in the XFL. So it's a little bit different ways to attack it.
And the USFL didn't attack it really at all with any of the 8 coaches in that way, did you think? I mean,
no,
they didn't get any young guys.
I don't know. Yeah, they've been all really.
Pep Hamilton.
They don't have Pep Hamilton in the USFL.
Oh, they used the XFL. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, it's all guys that have been, relatively established.
They've either had a track record in spring football or college or the pros. They don't have a Pep Hamilton or like an up and coming guy who is fighting to get a head coaching position.
Yeah, and it's not that these guys are
except Kirby Wilson for the Maulers has never had a head coaching
job, and these guys aren't necessarily old.
Not known as an innovator.
Yeah, they're not old, but they're not necessarily guys that are, they could get jobs, or I could see them getting jobs elsewhere.
They could be on a staff somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
Fill a role. There weren't any big swings with any of these guys.
And we haven't been told, at least I haven't. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I haven't heard how much these coaches are going to be getting paid.
We don't know that. So the USFL knows that,
and
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure they know.
Well, if you think about the amount of work that this is going to require,
very little, about 3 weeks worth of work, and then 10 weeks worth.
That's my point compared to a college job or a pro NFL job. This could be easy. This could be easy money for these coaches. So. Now, what kind of effort are they going to put into it? I guess that remains to be seen. But do they need to put a lot of effort into it? It's just a TV show, right?
The script's already written, if you ask me, right? They just haven't told us it.
Yeah, which is fine. Why do you need to know the script before the
You think they're going to end games at the last game of every week is not going to end until the next week?
Well, you know what?
We're out of time. Stay tuned next week. You'll see the conclusion of this game.
If you watch the NFL playoffs this past week, how could you not tell me that this is strictly just television? I mean, all these games
we said this last week,
so scripted. I'm not saying they were, but they just appeared so.
But sometimes things are so good that they naturally become good for television.
Well, I'm just saying the way,
like the Kardashians.
Yeah. The way it's structured. I mean. Yeah, with I know you guys were you're making fun of the lasers, so much last week, and the XFL last a couple years ago we were talking about simple rules, get the call right. Yeah, that appears to be a niche market.
Oh my!
The NFL doesn't even want that. They want to make it as complicated and confusing and controversial as possible.
Who cares if a ball hits the ground? It's an interception.
We know controversy creates cash, and that's what the NFL really capitalizes on. Because they want people on Monday morning talking about, did he really catch that ball? Did he really get that first down? That's what they want. That's
good. They really score 58 points in the last minute, 36 seconds or whatever.
That's good television.
Yeah.
But the XFL, that's a different kind of thing. That's that's pure football. It seems like it's
so sometimes
from what I could tell.
So it's like so the USFL is what they're doing is they're taking football, they're taking NASCAR, they're taking football and making it into a demolition derby. And we're going to see it wreck in front of us.
I don't know.
Vince, how can you look at what the USFL has done, announced, the time frame,
Yeah, it makes
say
no
that
sense.
This is going to work.
I don't think it'll work. I really don't.
Past the season, I really am confident the first season's going to go through.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That's fine. But what I'm saying is how is this going to be a success?
As a long term,
like spring football has been such a problem, right? I feel like it can work. People love football. You put a good product on the field, it'll work. It's failed countless times for whatever the case may be. How do you see this being a success?
Well,
this is being put together like how a season of American Gladiators would be put together.
I think we've seen,
Wipeout was filmed right up here. If you guys want to go take a look,
you put football on television, people are going to watch it. People will watch any football game over some, other sports. I mean, we've seen, the ratings that these minor bowl games have had that are during the day at 1:00, and they're on a Wednesday, and they're getting not tremendous ratings, but ratings comparable with primetime NBA games.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched a lot of football, and I know bad football when I see it, and you'll find a lot of it in college. So I don't know necessarily how much the quality of the play will matter necessarily. Yes, it's very important, and the better the quality of the play, the better the product's going to be, the better the ratings are going to be if you have good quality of play. But you could still put together a successful business, under these circumstances that they're trying. I really do believe that it depends on what the operating costs are going to be, because the goal of this is to make money.
They're low. You got the city of Birmingham taking up a lot of the costs.
I think it's not so much with the USFL and the owners being primarily Fox. I think that there's a different goal in mind, and that is to bring in money. It's not to make money. They don't care if the USFL makes or doesn't make money.
Bringing in and making money.
Advertisements. No, because you're going to get advertising. Fox is going to get all that advertising.
That's making money.
That is not making money on your league. You're not looking for an ROI on the players. You're not looking for an ROI on the teams.
Well, that still comes off.
The Rams make money because they're the Rams.
Well, that still comes off the bottom line.
Well, no,
I mean,
you
have your, you got to pay the players, you got to pay the coaches, you got to pay for the facilities that you're having here. You got to pay for all that stuff, and then
you could still lose money. What if your show on Thursday makes a lot of money because it was advertised during the USFL game?
Your show on Thursday makes a lot of money. Oh, it's just an advertising vehicle?
Yeah.
I suppose.
Right? You want eyeballs. That's why people pay so much for the NFL. That's why Fox and NBC and all these people make billions of dollars.
Well, that's the thing.
Because you know what? I get to see a Will and Grace freaking reincarnation that's coming up on CBS.
Well, to me, if Fox is selling, advertising during USFL games, that's making money. To me, that's making money.
But if they're selling their own stuff.
Selling what stuff?
Their own advertisements.
Oh, for their own shows?
Yes. Simpsons season
Well, you don't
67.
really make money doing that.
Shannon Sharp and Skip or whatever the FS1 talk show is.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe that's different. That's an accounting game.
But here's the thing. Does Fox care if the USFL is good as long as there's eyeballs?
No.
So how is this going to be good football?
I just said it may not be.
I think there's just that's what I'm saying. Fox has a different perspective on this entire thing.
They do.
You agree, because we've been talking about that over the last few weeks. The XFL seemingly wants to put together a football league that will last and provide good football for people and players and opportunities. A league, whereas the USFL is seemingly being put together as an operation that is like a television and a vehicle for a network to satisfy something they need on their part as a network.
This is them paying the ShamWow guy.
Advertising or just a rating or whatever.
I think that's fine.
Yeah. There's no shame in that. It's just they're two different goals for the league.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys are spot on. Yeah. And I think I'm fine with both. I'm interested to see what happens.
Man, that's cool, but like, what's more exciting to a fan who loves like football intensely, which most people do, we think, that at least watching this show. The XFL, what their approach, a dedication to the game is what we're excited for.
I expect more from the XFL.
Exactly, you do. Especially when, I do expect more all top to bottom from the XFL. You're going to laugh because we also knew the social media people and behind the scenes folks at the XFL 2020. I mean, amazing. Maybe arguably the best part of the league, some people would say, was how the XFL approached social media. But here's the USFL. This is at USFL on their Twitter, Brian. And, they just introduced their 8 coaches. I don't know if you noticed the one guy from the XFL, Team 9's coach, now a USFL coach, didn't quite get his name right. A head coach in the USFL, Bart Andrus.
They don't play for that Twitter Plus. They do the edits.
Called him Bert. Didn't pay for the Twitter Plus. No edit on there. Still Bert. 2 days later, too, after this was posted. Yeah, they posted all the coaches' Twitter handles or their names if they didn't have a Twitter handle.
The XFL also would have created new Twitters for those 3 coaches that don't have them.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah.
Like, there's 3 coaches without
If you have the time to create, they don't have time to create.
Bert Andrus.
Is it that they don't have the time, or they don't think it's worth paying somebody to do it?
They don't. In the grand scheme, this matters nothing to them.
They don't care. They don't care to spend the money.
It's very interesting. I'd like to talk to you guys about
low effort.
This is very interesting to me. I work with a variety of people at my job, and I hear people come up and they talk to me. They know I'm an XFL person, and I've had some involvement, and but they're coming up to me very excited about the USFL. And
these are older guys,
exactly.
Right?
That's by older, maybe people in their 40s
who were
50s,
alive when the USFL was around.
And they're like,
you tell them that the games are going to be played in Birmingham.
Well, see, I bring that up, and then they get really disappointed but the enthusiasm was tremendous. It was like, oh, I can't wait to go to a game. Where are they going to be playing? And I tell them every game is going to be in Birmingham. And they're like, oh, really? Well, I guess I'm watching on TV. The ratings for that first game are going to be extremely high, I think.
Of course,
extremely high.
Well, you say extremely, and I think there's a caution there because extremely, like the Spring League was on Fox last year, and it struggled to get 200,000. It struggled.
It's going to do better than 200.
Yeah, I guarantee that. I don't think that. But the XFL did 3 its first game.
3 what?
Million?
I think this will at least do that.
I don't think so. Not even close.
April 16th, Stallions Generals.
No way.
Yeah.
Maybe combined between NBC and Fox.
I'm going to go in between, say, like $1.5 million.
Yeah, I think it's going to be around. I don't even know if each network will have $1 million.
They are. Well, it's on NBC and Fox, though. That's also a big deal. Two network channels, and this is a Saturday. I'm assuming.
I'm not saying they're gonna. Yeah. I'm not saying they're gonna. Keep that going.
No way.
Stretch. Now, the one thing they do,
unless Bert Andrus just comes out there and he's not coaching that game.
Well, it's Bert Reynolds or something.
One thing I will say is the XFL had the advantage of the timing of their release of their first game being in February, right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time
because it was
football mania.
Extremely cold out. In April, there's going to be more people going outside doing something. Not
people spending their
sitting in watching.
Sitting in watching
on a Saturday.
So you're telling me that people staying at home for the last 3 months because of a horrible pandemic. You're getting to the nice spring, and people are just not going to stay home and watch TV. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, we'll see what's going on.
There's going to be more people outside,
especially compared to. I mean, there's no bomb cyclone hopefully going on during the USFL's Week 1.
You ever been to Birmingham? Vince?
No.
Yeah,
do you think the USFL is going to be using the HARP system to manipulate weather?
Control the weather. If they are, then that would be very good for their league. All right, before we move off the USFL, Vince, I want to ask you. 8 coaches lined up here. I'll pull them up so you could look at them too. Remember, Bert Andrus is actually Bart Andrus.
Yeah.
Coaching the Philly Stars. But you got your 8 coaches there. So just based solely on the 8 coaches the USFL has now, which team has the advantage going into the season? That's all they have.
Man.
I can tell you the answer to that right now. I can tell you one guarantee by saying these names.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher's going 5-5.
Well, Michigan's not going to be under 500.
Yeah, they'll be going 5-5.
Which team has the advantage?
Based on just their head coach.
How does Todd Haley not have a Twitter?
He does. Todd Haley does have a Twitter, and he was not tagged.
I told you
by the USFL.
They did not think it was worth paying.
Unless he deleted it. I don't know.
Maybe they're cutting back on interns at Fox Sports.
Definitely not.
Which Holtz is that?
Skip Holtz. Skip Holtz is coaching the Birmingham Stallions. You've got Fisher with the Michigan Panthers.
You think
Mike Riley coaching the Generals.
Lou Holtz's Twitter. It could have been the other Holtz.
Kevin Sumlin's with the Houston Gamblers.
Yeah.
Kirby Wilson with the Maulers. You got Fedor with the Breakers. Haley with the Bandits. And, Skip Holtz with the Stallions. Advantage who?
Oh, my God.
Coaching advantage.
From a pure, X's and O's standpoint, I think Haley has definitely got the advantage. However, he could be a little difficult to get along with. So I don't know how that's
I might go Mike Riley on that, actually.
You think Haley called Roethlisberger?
Huh?
You think Haley called Roethlisberger?
You think Big Ben's retired from the NFL but going to play for the
Haley
Bandits?
Probably called him to tell him off or something like that. He didn't call him to hey, let's work together.
He's just trying Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger.
The thing is, Kirby Wilson in this league, he is that kind of, maybe that like Pep Hamilton, new guy to head coaching.
But
we don't know he's never been
he's just a running back coach.
Yeah, he's been a running back coach. We don't know what
maybe
kind of attack
he's going to hire good coordinators. Or maybe Fox will assign good coordinators to his
That's
team.
the other thing. We don't know how much budget they have for a coaching staff.
No.
These might be head coach, offensive, defensive coordinators right here.
Do you think it's possible that Fox is
the quarterbacks or the offensive coordinators?
Well, no, I was going to say,
well?
Do you think Fox is just writing out what plays to be called?
No. If that's the case, then this league cannot be part of any kind of gambling or fantasy. That would not be fair. That's a TV show. That's American Gladiators. Cannot do that. Please. No, that's not how it's going. We'll see. The budget still for the staffs is also interesting. Like how many people,
how much time, who wants to join.
Well, if you're only going to have 38 players on a team, I can't imagine.
That's 1 day per player right now, basically.
I can't imagine that there's, going to be a lot of coaches.
1, 2, about like.
So I think it's under 80 right now.
So few days, closer than freaking ever.
Yeah.
Kicking off the USFL.
WrestleMania feels further away than this, and WrestleMania is actually closer.
That's true.
Well, we have a lot more clarity on what those.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't, the kickoff wouldn't seem a lot that close if you had more clarity.
I mean, well, Fox is definitely more concerned with SmackDown than the USFL. I think we all know that for sure. And speaking of this, part 2 of our cover 2, let's talk. It's Royal Rumble weekend. That's kind of why we're together, wrestling nerds watching wrestling together. But also, the Dome at America Center hosted Royal Rumble, which was cool to see that St. Louis in that building got some more action since the Battlehawks. You think the next big event, Vince, will be at the Dome at America Center, will be an XFL game?
What do you consider a big event?
That
something as big as the Royal Rumble or a football game.
With that much action, that much
I would say
television exposure.
I don't think any XFL game is as big as the Royal Rumble.
Well, okay, I can understand why you say that. But, we went there. It was pretty rowdy.
There were the last big televised event at the Dome at the America Center was a St. Louis Battlehawk.
Well, I'm sure they get Monster Jam coming through there. That probably draws a nice crowd.
Yeah. Not 20. Not 25.
You don't think?
No. 14.
That's not what we're talking about, though. You could have a sold-out, Phil Collins concert. I don't know. It doesn't matter. In terms of big fight feel, how about that? How do you get that type of feel into that stadium where you can watch something that big on television?
You realize that they were going to
You're probably right.
Open the whole dome up for the Wildcats game. It was going to be a jam-packed house.
You're all right. I would agree with that. Yeah, because, what big event is coming to St. Louis?
Exactly.
Yeah. What big events do they get?
Does UFC go to St. Louis?
Yeah. Probably every now and
then. They wouldn't go to
once in a blue moon.
They wouldn't go to that.
Not to
unless,
the dome.
Unless they play the Winter Classic in St. Louis inside that dome. I don't see what else could actually be played there.
They probably played at the Busch. Right?
Yeah, Busch, yeah, for sure. I mean, you expect the Battlehawks back, though, right?
I would. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be stupid
that should be the number one team that stays.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're the XFL now putting together your game plan for cities, number one focused before any other city is St. Louis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not hard.
100%.
Not a hard call.
I mean, like I said, I guarantee. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I think it's a very strong possibility that that's going to happen.
Why wouldn't you guarantee?
Because what if St. Louis doesn't want them back?
Why would they not?
Because they got screwed out of millions of dollars because of the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now all of a sudden it gets put in your head that St. Louis is like, unless you pay us up front.
They want it, though.
Well, but they don't want to lose money.
They
don't want to not get paid.
Yeah, but I think it's low. Maybe I think it's low risk. I mean, that really
low risk.
Grand scheme, how much money did they lose in the grand scheme? Was it that much? I don't know how effective was this.
Well, how did they lose?
If the XFL owed them any money,
did they?
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
The XFL didn't have to pay them because of the bankruptcy, or they paid them pennies on the dollar.
What services were provided?
The stadium, the workers, all those things, those bills were for the XFL to be paid.
Oh, so they never paid them up front?
I'm assuming they did not.
Or whatever the XFL's end of the bargain was in regards to the city providing workers and facilities.
It was a 3-year deal, right?
I mean, I don't know how many years it was, but it was I remember that deal did come out on television.
The bankruptcy did cost St. Louis something.
Cost every city.
Yeah, every city. But really, in the grand scheme, some cities it affected less than others. So how badly did St. Louis hurt from that? We don't really know. I think just like as someone who was observing it and following it's pretty much as we possibly can, knowing all the details, it doesn't seem like St. Louis would be taking a huge risk bringing the XFL back, especially considering how awesome it was for the town and the morale and. I'm sure they were going to be making more and more money as the season went on because it was super popular. But I want to ask Vince, 8 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams. Brian and I have kind of fluctuated. I am on the side of 10 teams now, solidly. He wants 12 teams in 2023. Where are you at?
Yeah, I certainly feel that in the grand scheme of things, more teams is better.
When you say grand scheme of things, is that long term or right away?
Yeah, well, long term, I will say more teams is better. I think it makes it feel like it's a real league. Yeah, when you only tell me that there's only 8 teams, it just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel big enough to me. But at the same time, getting this off the ground, getting this going, does make it more difficult? I don't know.
Definitely.
Eight's been the sweet spot for the AAF, for the XFL.
Well, don't tell me it's been the sweet spot
what I mean, it's a sweet spot for these leagues to kick off with, right?
Yes,
everyone's always
comfortably.
Well, is that the minimum number that they can acquire to start? I don't.
Financially speaking, it might make the most sense. It gets you because you also want to keep your costs down.
Well, that's the big thing.
The NHL did it with 6.
Well, it started with 6. You're right.
Yeah, because unless a city is going to bid for to have a team enough to cover costs of supporting all these
cities
players.
Will do that. Look at the Birmingham bid for the USFL. XFL 2020 cities presented packages and opportunity and deals to bring those teams.
I guess it depends on what kind of investment do they want to put forth up front. Because you have to pay these.
Well, they are. You're talking about and you'll understand this. This is a financial investment firm who is backing this, so they expect return on their investment.
In how long?
Who knows? 5 years. 5 years always seems to be the right number for investment firms. Whenever they put in, they want to make sure they get their money back in 5 years.
If it was your money, what would you expect it back in? Knowing how spring football leagues go,
you look at.
I would expect 5 years, but I would give it that because that's logical.
I could be wrong on some of these numbers, and you tell me. But I've heard leagues that have started up recently in this country, the MLS, WNBA. They've been around for
almost 30 years,
25 years probably. Have they ever turned a profit?
I mean, the MLS is turning profits more and more.
Are they turning a profit as a league total? Are they there yet? Yeah. Are they there yet?
I don't know.
That's the thing. And they've been around that long.
But there's also these spikes, right? Like NASCAR went up. Like if you're not the four major sports, NASCAR spiked and then came back down. MLS has spiked and come back down. Sometimes they spike again, they come back down. WNBA had its popularity
MLS is,
came back down.
Look at it
Arena
too.
football was up here.
MLS is getting stadiums built for their teams right now, so they're in a good spot.
Yeah, WNBA's made a huge investment recently in paying their players significant money in order to keep them, and I think that's going to be very critical. I think for this, we've seen with this pandemic, people are looking at how they view jobs. You see some places, like small fast food restaurants, saying that they need to start paying people $19, $20 an hour because a lot of people are saying, it's not worth it to me. Yeah.
People are trying to get part-time jobs for television. Like, this is ridiculous. People will want money. And I understand what you're saying.
They do, but are people going to, I think you got to pay them enough to make this worth it for them, because you're basically putting your whole life on hold to go do this job. Everybody's, a lot of people are going to want to chase this dream of, somehow making it to the NFL at some point, but that's only going to last so long, and can you really rely on that, significantly long term? Because unless there's like a great track record of XFL players going to the NFL, eventually guys are probably going to say, no, I'm just going to go get on with my life.
Yeah,
unless you're going to pay a significant wage, I think that's very important for the health of the league. Is paying guys, but that costs money.
Well, right now,
and you got to be able to put forth that investment.
The XFL really, honestly, is going to need to get some sweet deals, like how the USFL got out of Birmingham. Like, you need a city to really back you.
You need a television deal that's going to pay you. I mean, they did have a sweet deal where they weren't paying production costs. That's still a pretty sweet deal that the AAF did not get.
You need to supplement it so you can pay those players. You can't. Their Redbird Capital is not just going to outright pay a bunch of players a bunch of money. They're going to need to have another income coming from either a TV deal, a sweet deal with a city. That needs to be happening in order for that to happen. And that doesn't have to happen right away, I think, necessarily, because you could bring in players and get them to buy in and get paid an okay wage to play football professionally. In the meantime, you're trying to build and grow the league. It's very much a startup mentality, and I think that's what they need to do. But they do need to have something that sets them apart from what the USFL is doing, and something that is enticing enough. Because, like you said, even football players, it's every job. Everybody across every profession is looking at like, well, I'm worth more than what I'm being offered in a lot of the places I'm trying to work. And some players might say, screw that, I'm not even going to play. That's something you have to consider. But I think the XFL is going to be able to put it together where it's a nice balance.
I hope so.
Yeah, and because of who's involved on the ownership end, the words that are being spoken by The Rock and Danny Garcia in particular about a league of culture and caring about players. Well, saying you care about players is one thing. Providing opportunity and paying them properly is another. And I think these are people who really back up what they say usually. So I'm excited to see. I'm interested to see how they actually go about doing that. The USFL right now, we're always going to compare it because it's kicking off and just closer than ever.
Closer than ever.
A little over 2 months. What is their plan in that space, in that area? Are they going to treat these players like cattle? Because that's seemingly kind of what it looks like.
Well, that's what spring football's always done. They've paid these spring football league players, they get paid more than I do in a week. The only thing is they get paid for 12 weeks, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's not a living wage.
What?
They get paid $2,000 to $4,000 a week.
Yeah, but
that's a lot of money.
But that's all for the whole.
I understand thing. That's the problem, right? They're getting paid for the time served. So yes, it is enticing to go in and pay and make $30,000 in a.
It's more of a gig. It's more of a gig than a career.
Yes. Yeah. So to have that happen, Like, that has to change from either league, for the USFL or the XFL. The XFL has to be able to pay these players for the entire a salary that's usable for an entire
getting
year.
Back to it, then, if you are more than 8 teams, that's just more difficult to do because it's more players, it's more.
There's also more sources of income, more
that's
revenue.
True, and that's how I'm hoping they're looking at it. Because I do agree with Vince. 8 teams feels small, especially this day and age, and it's been tried so many times. Let's try 10. I wouldn't be opposed to 12, but I think 10 might.
Do you worry about the quality of play when you start getting into those 10 to 12 teams? I felt like the XFL had 8 solid quarterbacks. They might not have all been playing, but they had 8 solid quarterbacks.
Well,
Taylor, Heineke in you
want to
St. Louis.
You don't want like complete parity, but the XFL had like the worst team was competitive. Like there wasn't just an absolute dog crap team in 2020. That
Seattle started going in that direction.
But then
they just put in BJ Daniels.
Yeah, they were dysfunctional, but they had great athletes on defense and offense, and they were competitive. Like
it wasn't a blowout.
No, there was
the only team that really got blown out was the Defenders.
Yeah, and then they turned it, but they had great coaching too, and they turned it around. So that's all. That's why I'm not worried about it if you do expand the amount of teams, because there are just out there total the pool you could go pull from coaching players.
With time.
Good enough. If you do it right, it's good enough to fill all those slots and make sure the league isn't watered down anywhere too much. You're going to have a bad team, but not competitive. And you could totally do that. 10 teams, I think, is more reasonable. If you're going 12, you're taking a bigger risk in a bunch of different ways. I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm sure Redbird Capital has said, we are going to invest this because we can afford to lose this if our investment doesn't turn around. And that's how you have to look at it. And you build from that.
So, Vince, what are you rooting for? 8, 10, 12, 6,
I'm rooting,
32?
I'm rooting for as many as they
come on,
they
give us
can get.
an answer.
What's your number?
Oh, I mean, how many do I want to be in this
You
league?
can say 20, but is there 20 decent – is there 20 decent quarterbacks? Possible? Is it possible? Does it make sense?
There's not even 20 decent quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
well, decent's a relative term. Is it decent enough to pull off a game and make it interesting? If
the 49ers can make it to the NFC Championship again with Jimmy G, there's decent quarterbacks out there.
He's been proving me wrong. He's
proving everybody right. He just happens to keep winning.
Has he thrown a touchdown in this playoff? I don't think he
has thrown at least as many.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see 16 teams. I don't think that's going to happen. But
16. I mean, 16 would be great too.
I just don't. I mean,
that's a big swing.
Yeah, could you even find 16 cities right off the bat that would support it strongly?
That's more the players. Like, you're going to find players that fill everywhere. The cities is the important.
You can fill 16 teams with everybody who doesn't go to the NFL every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. With the amount of college players that just stop playing football after their senior seasons, you could probably fill 16 teams.
Oh yeah, the players is not the issue. It's the cities to support the infrastructure and the necessary facilities and everything for 16 teams. That would be cool. I think that's a little bit big of a swing, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's
15 really, because one of them's going to be St. Louis. I'll say it.
Yeah, there you go. 15 more cities plus St. Louis.
So you guys will get a team. I'm pretty sure you will. I'll be there.
If you listen to our other podcast, Brian was not as nice to St. Louis.
I'm never nice to St. Louis, but I will say the truth when it comes to them having a team.
That's how many I want. I do not think that'll happen. I think it's probably going to be 8 again.
Really?
I don't think it'll be 8.
I'm leaning 10. We'll see. That's the first thing I'm keeping my eye on.
The more, especially for a startup. Yeah, I mean, the more teams they have, unless the TV deal is like really significant, the more money they're going to lose. So do they want to do that? What's their mindset on what kind of investment do they want to make?
Unless they find 15 Birmingham.
That's true. I will say that the and I will end on this, or at least I will. The TV deal in the first year will tell us a lot about what Redbird is really interested in. Because if the TV deal is not great, that is Redbird saying that we are in this for the long term. If they are expecting a big television deal right off the bat, then that's Redbird saying we want to make our money pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So it's a tell.
That'll be a tell. You're right. Well, let's get to the more immediate though. So that was more grand scheme, long term. What's the XFL going to be doing when they kick off in 2023? But we have like an announcement coming up pretty soon. We assume, according to Dwayne Johnson, and it is NFC and AFC Championship weekend, Super Bowl coming up. I believe in 2019, a year out, Bryant, the XFL was making some announcements in the rounds, the biggest football weekends of the year, and those are coming up. So what's coming up next for the XFL? We're going to discuss it right now in this week's Hot Read. All right, so the NFL has its AFC and NFC championship games. The show's coming out today, so today to this live on tape podcast.
Did you still get it early on Patreon?
Huh?
Did you still get it early on Patreon?
Oh, our show? We're not Patreon anymore.
Oh, yeah, we're not right now.
That might be coming up soon. We'll see. But the football's in the air. Everyone's talking football. You got big championship games. Super Bowl's coming up. We're going to have a little break in between, but the hype, the media, it's going to be insane, especially in this country, particularly. Football is having its big moment like it does every year right now. So, in that same vein, the XFL is going to want to get involved as they did in 2019. We always check with Brian on the history of that, right? Yeah. 2019 XFL Super Bowl week. Oliver Luck, then the face of the league, was doing the rounds.
Yes, I believe that Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, was that in Minnesota? Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Which the Mall of America. Oliver Luck was walking around the Mall of America.
Radio Row and the Mall of America. So you've got Radio Row, you've got Super Bowl commercials, you've got every big TV show is covering football. So to be involved in that, the USFL will be running promos, we know, during the championship games on their networks. And this is a great moment to promote the XFL. Well, what are they going to do? We were teased announcements a couple weeks ago. Announcements coming immediate now. What's your gut feeling, Vince? What do you think is coming from the XFL now with Football Mania reaching its peak in 2022?
I think the next logical thing is that I think they're going to announce the city. Okay. I think that's the next logical thing to give us to get the cities excited, because we already know when.
Are you saying they're going to announce the exact cities or like how many?
Yeah. Well, I think
I don't know how they know that yet.
I'll say this.
Well, they know it. They just haven't told us.
Oh, well, some people say
the cities and the television are the two biggest things that we gotta find out, and we may find out the television. I don't know.
Okay,
maybe they would have announced it by now. I don't know. Maybe if
so then I'll give you a little history lesson here. Not lesson, but a review in history. So at this point in 2019, I'm doing this without. This is how much I've studied this because I don't even have it in front of me. In 2019, at this point, we already had the teams, the cities, and what the structure of the league was going to be. Mm-hmm. We don't have any of that right now. Mm-mm. And that was given to us back in December of 2018.
Are you getting nervous?
I'm very nervous because coming up in the middle of February, we got Bob Stoops, and we are nowhere near that. The TV deal didn't come until May, so I'm not even worried about the TV deal at this point. I'm more concerned with the structure, the teams, and what this league is going to look like come kickoff, which is about a year away.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think that they know and they just haven't told us? Or no? Or do you think that they're still trying to figure that out?
I think they're still. I will say this: they know some things. They don't know it all, and I think that's what they're waiting for is to tell us more than just 4 coaches out of the 8.
Yeah, my
because they have the time. Yeah. They have the time to say, "Hey, we know 4 of the cities. We don't know all 8, so we're going to hold off on the 4 because we don't want to."
My
incomplete.
My gut is they're not announcing exact cities, but maybe the target amount. And they're confident in an amount of cities they're going to have.
Well, that would be like the structure of the league.
Yes. Exactly. I want the bones. That's what I said last week. I want the bones of the league.
Yes, and I think that's what we're going to get is they're going to say, all right, we're going to be in 8 cities, 10 cities. All right, we're kicking off on this date.
I thought we already knew the kickoff date.
We do, but that's not really being.
That's a backtrack date based on an Instagram post. Yes, nothing confirmed.
It's not. There's nothing being promoted like February whatever kickoff. That's not announced.
Well, maybe that's what's going to be announced.
Yeah, the gist and really I'm expecting the 2018 information we knew right out the bat right off the gate when they announced the league coming back. I expect that these coming.
Don't get me wrong. We're not in a place to where we're like at nothing with the league, right? Because they have a lot of the corporate people in place, tons of the corporate people in place, and they didn't have
corporate infrastructure is there.
Yeah.
Well, day to day is there.
Day to day operation.
Well, day to day high level, I would say. I don't know if they have the minions down there, right, working all those.
Well, that's what you need. You need the minions.
Yeah,
but they don't have.
You need people working the Twitter accounts to get the names right.
They have that. I think they have all that, but they don't have the teams. This is a league. If it's a top down, this is a company that has 8 to 10 departments. Teams.
What are the departments? Can you name all?
And 10? they are
they're the e-com business, they're the wholesale business, they're the retail business, they're the mom and pop shops. That's what you need. When you start talking about the departments.
The department, but also these departments are the actual teams, the franchises of the league.
That's what I'm saying.
These are the selling points of the league. Those need to at least be, like you said, skeletoned out. The bones. Okay, this is what Family it will look like. Where will they be? We don't know exactly. But we know that what we want and what we want to give you and what we're going to give you. That's what I expected. I can't imagine, as much as I love it, them saying, we're going to be in Los Angeles and St. Louis.
Well, let me say this. Well, I'm going to make a point here. I'm curious to hear. You are an expert in starting up a league, so that's why I want to know what we're at least covering.
Yeah, covering.
I'm curious. So with buildings and venues, you got to rent those like a year in advance. Sometimes. Mm-hmm. So you would think that if we're coming up on a year, depending on when this is starting. But, if it is going to start in February, March.
It's more likely February, the week after the Super Bowl.
If that's when it's going to start, then I think they got to start locking down these venues.
Yeah. Especially if they're in MLS stadiums. MLS is playing during that time.
So we got to, well, not that we have to know, but you'd think that would have been determined.
And I will say this, because I've been quoted on this show as saying, if the USFL knows the information, what benefits does it have by not sharing that information? I've been quoted on this show to say that. I'm saying the opposite for the XFL, because they have time. They have time to hold that information back from us.
What if the XFL is going to take a page out of the USFL's book and just play all in one site?
That doesn't seem like what they're, at least what they've teased and talked about.
Here's the reason. There's reasons to do that. The reason the USFL is doing that is money.
And COVID a little.
Yeah. And it could also be why they're kicking off in April and not in February, because they wanted to let this pass. Maybe they foresaw that. Fine, whatever. If the XFL does that, there has to be a logical reason in the sense that there is no logical reason.
No, that would make no sense. They've already moved the kickoff from 2022.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be getting a kickoff this year, according to teases from a year ago.
That wasn't a tease. That was a video.
A video, yeah.
That was a video saying we're kicking off.
An announcement, basically. But because of, COVID.
And CFL.
And the CFL negotiations and not knowing exactly what they wanted to do with this league. And rumors that Redbird was after the CFL negotiations, like, what's going on? Now it seems like it's more of a focused effort. And we'll see what comes out. I just don't feel confident in cities being announced within the next couple of weeks between now and the Super Bowl, because this is 2022. Those leaks would come out. We would hear about them reaching out to cities.
Well, then are you concerned that we don't know what they are, considering that you
No, because we really didn't know the cities going in. Like we got St. Louis 2 weeks before cities were made.
Yeah,
and that was the only one that came out.
That could happen quickly, and they probably have an idea,
when
but
were
nothing's
the cities
official.
Announced within relation that the actual cities were announced within the relation to when they kicked off?
They announced cities December 4th.
Over a year. Yeah, a year.
Over a year.
2018, December 4th.
Yeah.
So it was a year and 2 months before kickoff.
Okay, so we're less than that.
Yeah, already.
That's what I'm saying. Where there are some, that's why there's certain things.
But but it's still, there's still some time for that to that was I feel like relatively early.
If I'm just telling you, if you're booking venues, then you got to get.
But the XFL also might not need the cities. They don't need the cities to approve a football team in their city, right?
No,
they could just book the arena. Might not be financially the smartest thing to do, but it could be a thing that they.
The Battlehawks are going to be playing in Minnesota.
No, they can play in St. Louis. They just call up the Dome at American Center. Say, hey, we want to rent your venue 5 days.
Yeah, instead of working in partnership with the leagues like they did, they just book it like how a traveling circus or WWE would.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That needs to be done a year in advance. I think.
I mean, there's certain things, and I'm not trying to put the
and that's all I'm
boots to St. Louis. But what does St. Louis have that's going on in that arena that they have to book every year?
Jam. Probably already
huge. Monster Jam was the first part of why the St. Louis Battlehawks didn't kick off till week 3.
Circuses.
No, there's definitely time is of the essence, but I feel like that doesn't necessarily need to be announced immediately, but probably shortly thereafter. I'll say. From this crucial 2 weeks, something needs announced. Super Bowl week or within this time frame where everyone's talking football. There needs to be a promo or something.
Look, I'll say this too. I wouldn't be surprised if there is just an onslaught of information from the XFL too. Mm-hmm. Like they could be holding a lot in their holster right now and just waiting.
And just super good at keeping it quiet.
Do you think the USFL is doing the same?
If they are, they're dumb. They don't have the time, the luxury to do that. They need to be hyping. They need to be hyping up people now, not a week before kickoff.
But how much more hyped is the casual person going to be over knowing, some of this information that you're talking about?
Do you know how I don't know, but this might just be me. But if I'm the USFL right now. And I know that my league's going to be able to be on sports books. It's going to be on TV. Even if I don't know my players, I'm running promos constantly. You're going to be able to gamble on our league. You're going to be able to play fantasy on our league. Football won't end after the NFL. Keep betting. It's more fun. You don't have to start watching basketball. You don't need to care about that anymore. Football continues. You know how they could just shove that down people's throats and people will watch.
Yeah, but are they going to get approved by the Nevada Gaming Commission?
They
doesn't have to just be Nevada.
No, that's everywhere, and it's going to be.
Well, if Nevada doesn't approve you, is anybody going to approve you?
Well, they could be selling it a lot more. I'm just saying, Bryant's right. What the USFL is doing in terms of marketing is just it's a lot. It's like they either don't have people in place to do it, or they don't care,
or they don't know. And that's
they can't be that incompetent.
Do you think
it doesn't seem? I'm no genius.
Yes, I do think it kicks off. I guarantee that it kicks off. I'm pretty sure that it's going to last the full season. Yeah. I think they're going to have all 8 teams show up in one city. I think that's going to happen.
I think it'll be awesome.
I don't see how this is at the end of it. They look at it like we did a great job.
Yeah,
I don't see that right now.
Well, it's going to come down.
I can't see how they look at kickoff, Vince. How you famously said. I can't believe we are kicking off. What did you say? I can't believe they're playing this game. What did he say at the
Defenders game?
At the Defenders game.
At the first.
Oh my God! I can't believe that we're actually here.
XFL.
I'll probably be.
The USFL will be saying the same thing, just not in the same light. Oh my God! I cannot believe we made this. That's what's going to happen.
I'll be a little news. I'll be honest. I'll be a little surprised if the XFL kicks off next year.
Oh jeez. Well, you got to be on the show more often.
He's too pessimistic to be on this too often. I mean, saying I don't know if it'll kick off. I mean, that's.
I just get a little skeptical when you get these big corporations and capital groups. I mean, they just seem like they could pull the plug at any time.
Yeah, and not as proof that Vince McMahon pulled the plug, just like that.
Yeah, I still don't quite understand all that. But he's nuts. He's willing to change his mind at any time.
But when you have someone like Dwayne Johnson involved and going on a platform like Monday Night Football, that's a dude who's never had to at least swallow that kind of business pill, a big failure. If he has to do that,
he's had failure.
No, if you're talking about flops in a movie at a box office, that's
not this, and this isn't missing on the CFL. This is like since he's become the biggest star in the world, like not an embarrassment, but a failure like that has not happened to him. Like, what would that even entail?
What business venture did he fail as you shoot your Terramana tequila every weekend?
I haven't had any tequila.
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, The Rock doesn't. When he shoots, he don't miss.
Well, I'm just curious
anymore.
I still one of the things I'm most fascinated about this is what his role going to be in this, because there's going to be a lot of disappointed people if they turn on the television.
Retweet.
He's
hey everybody,
department.
Really exciting. XFL's kicking off this week. I hope you're enjoying it. It just reminds me of when I had $7 in my pocket and I left the CFL. Like, that's what The Rock does.
There's going to be a lot of people disappointed, though, when they turn on the XFL in 2023 and he's not, actively involved with the broadcast.
Well, The Rock's not calling the games. We don't expect. He's not playing in the games. I'll tell you that right now. So if you watch our show, just don't expect that. And tell your friends, because that would be silly. The Rock owns the league, and that means he's going to promote it and make money off of it and get other people to watch it with his platform.
He owns to some degree, but is he going to be the one calling the shots?
He is the Magic Johnson of the Dodgers.
I would say more than that.
Everybody recognizes him. He is the name behind these.
So how much does that do?
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
I'm excited. I hope he's.
I'll tell you what. You knew that he was going to be on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, once you told me. I mean,
but it gets out word of mouth. People are going to find out that The Rock's going to be on Monday Night Football.
What he does,
going to be on Monday Night Football.
Know. Yeah,
we're talking about the biggest star in the world. The most followed American male on Instagram is part owner of this league.
Yeah.
How can you complain about that? How can that be a negative? How can you say what role he's going to have?
I don't. I'd like to know the role.
Know your role.
And shut your mouth. I know.
The Rock has millions.
And
millions of fans. You get me heated.
He's a great man. He's a great
You're uninvited from this show.
Too skeptical. But also, I appreciate the perspective, but come on, if of all things to question involved with the league,
I'm not.
His involvement is.
There was a question mark at the end of your last thing.
No.
His involvement's like the best part about it. Is the most promising part about it.
Here's my thing. I think he's going to be great up until the bell rings, and then they can't just rely on him.
No,
you let the football speak for itself.
Yeah.
You get the people in the door. You let the product do the rest.
Well, I'm curious to see how he promotes it. I guess, and what because he at least for me, he has not given significant information about this league to get me. I don't think I'm as excited as I was back in 2019. Maybe that's because of
the failure of 2018, though.
That's because you've been burnt.
Yeah.
But looking at who put that league together was someone who had already put together a failed football league. Again, the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has never put anything out there like this.
Undefeated in football leagues.
He's undefeated in business since
if
Danny
he
Garcia.
has failed, we don't even remember.
Since he blew up as the biggest star in wrestling, as The Rock,
Johnson.
and him and Danny Garcia then took his brand and started building a Hollywood career, it's been exponentially bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger for them business-wise. So their involvement is the least concerning.
The Rock took his life, a pro wrestling background life, turned it into a sitcom, and got renewed for a second season.
I watch the show every week.
Yes,
you don't need to convince.
It sure sounded like I do.
I have no doubt.
And this is where it brings me to I don't really see how this can mess up other than a pandemic. Is that it's also what he's now promoting is football. How can you screw that up? How can you as long as you're providing us with seemingly competitive football that's it's on the same places. Quality. It's easily accessible. It doesn't even have to be incredible Bills versus Chiefs every week.
XFL 2020 wasn't like that.
It just needs to be football. How can it fail? Because like you said, People watch crappy bowl games at 1. It's football.
Yeah.
It can't fail. It's football.
Well, I'm not going to.
Other than
it's not that it cannot.
Weird factors.
It's not that
stupid
it cannot
business
fail.
people and pandemics.
It's really going to come down to, how much money are they willing to put into this to keep it going initially?
That would be stupid business people. If The Rock's partnered up with dumb people who don't know that you actually have to invest a little bit.
There's only 2 things that ruin spring football in our generation, really, and that is, 3 things, I guess. That's TV networks,
impatient
a pandemic, or Charlie Ebersol. Literally the only things that have ruined spring football.
And if you are not patient...
TV networks aren't patient.
They aren't, no.
But TV networks that own the league aren't patient, especially.
That's why we are skeptical of the USFL, because you need patience and, just some logical sense.
How many times does Fox or any network cancel a television show mid-season because it wasn't making the money they expected?
You don't want the TV's capital,
money in your business, especially when it becomes
you got to believe they understand, we should be patient with this. The history is there. How many books do you need to read? How many histories do you need to observe to know what it's going to take? You need a little patience, the effort, and the right people in place. And they seemingly have the right people in place in ownership, at least in their partners on Redbird. And they are the big money part of it, but they're also the big question mark to everyone. How much are they invested in it? How quickly is that ROI, the return on investment?
ROI.
How
I'm hearing that a lot.
Do they need that? Don't question Dwayne. Don't question him or his involvement.
The Rock's going to do his job.
They will.
It's up to the coaches, the players, the league itself to make sure that those eyeballs that the Rock brings stay around.
And from my perspective, the coaches and players can't screw it up that badly either. As long as they're promoted properly and their names are spelled right on Twitter and they go out and do their job. It's about
that's harder than you think.
The money people, how patient are they?
I type all the crap all the time.
This got us fired up. I'm happy yet. So the big announcement coming up, we'll see what it is in the coming weeks at XFL Show. If you want to let us know what you think the XFL will announce with the Super Bowl now getting everybody's attention. Football's in the air. They will announce something. According to Dwayne Johnson, what is it? Let us know your guess. My guess is they're going to tell us how many cities we're getting and the amount of maybe weeks in a season.
Between a 1 and a 10, 10 being the most information they can provide us, I'm thinking 5 or 6. That's what I expect. Okay. But whenever they announce it, you can find us right here every Sunday, right here on your favorite podcast app. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Nope. I did that wrong. See, I don't have my thing. What did I do? No, you can find us here every Sunday right here on your favorite podcast app. Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you give us that 5-star review and tell your friends about it.
Watch the show, though. XFL.show. Watch the show.
That's true. If you I'm getting there.
Look at this setup.
You got a comment, question, or topic you want us to cover, or they call or text the XFL Fan Line 724-565-4XFL. 4XFL. Remember, standard text message rates do apply. Also, follow us on all social media platforms at XFL Show. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and one day TikTok. Have we done that yet? Maybe we'll put Vince in charge of TikTok. We'll see.
Vince will set up our TikTok.
Or come and watch us. You can see Alan wearing this really cool LA Kings jersey.
Take this off?
No, we're not over yet.
My skin.
At XFL.show, the official website of This Is the XFL Show. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Pretty Easy Podcast. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com. You get started today because they make podcasting pretty easy.
Anything left to say, Vince?
Oh, just cannot.
I can't believe you doubted The Rock. I'm so disappointed
in you. I'm not doubting The Rock.
Doubt the Redbird people, not Dwayne.
I am doubting. I do have some questions about the Redbird people. I've never met them.
I know. I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure they have a great plan.
I'm sure their books are public. You can go and look and see and read some stuff about them.
They wouldn't say, okay, Rock, go out and talk about 2023.
Yeah.
Without a plan. But what is it? We'll have to wait and see and find out.
We will have to wait and see. I cannot wait for this. He made this huge announcement on the Manning Cast, and in the next couple of weeks, I expect to hear something. I expect to hear something big to get me excited about 2023, right after the Super Bowl, February. Cannot wait for it.
Are you more excited for the announcement or a potential Rams-Chiefs Super Bowl?
Oh, Rams-Chiefs Super Bowl.
Really?
Yes.
It would be good.
But the only reason why I say that is because it feels like forever since I personally had a Super Bowl where I could just watch with no stress and didn't have to root against the specific
I'm trying to
team.
think because Tom Brady's been in a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger's been pretty much, or Aaron Rodgers, or the 49ers. So, and I think that was like for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Since 2001, that's the streak.
Every Super Bowl I'm watching, Vince is right. I'm like, as a Steeler fan,
in 2000 was the Ravens, so you probably didn't want that.
No, but I didn't want the Niners either.
What was the 99 Super Bowl?
1999 Rams Titans.
Do you have a dog? Do you have a dog in that one?
No.
Yeah, that was last time.
There has been some.
I can't imagine since then. I think 99 might have been the last
Bucks,
time.
Raiders. I didn't care.
I really did not want the Raiders to win. No, who would want to see? Even though I'm wearing Raiders colors right now.
The
Raiders are wearing LA Kings colors.
There may have been some others, but they were few and far between.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. Right.
Well, it's a pretty interesting time in football. Like the NFL's like really changing the guard. The bad guy's gone away. Thank goodness. Tom Brady's going. Hopefully,
not officially.
Hopefully that's true. Tom Brady's retiring. And, the XFL or USFL will stick. Spring football will be a thing, and football is going to be a little bit different than we had growing up, I think, moving forward. It already is, but much different with how...
We already get an extra week of football.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting time. It's very different, and we have to talk about it. And that's what this place is all about, discussing the changes and where we could go. And we appreciate all you interacting. Like Brian said, follow us in all those places. XFL.show is my personal favorite place to catch the show. You should too. Leave comments there.
Or this is the XFLshow.com.
Yep. This is the XFLshow.com.
We're all over the place.
We'll bring Vince in more often because he does bring that more pessimistic perspective, I'll say. Alternative.
A different perspective.
Obviously, we're homers.
The WCW to our WWE.
We're homers for the league. We love it, of course.
We're all here for football. We're all here for football. We just have different perspectives on
you
what
want to talk about a
league
being run by a television company.
And where are they now?
I know all about
where are they now?
Exactly. All right, everybody. For Vince and for Brian, I'm Alan. We'll see you next week. This is the XFL show. Remember,
they're listening.
No.
They're watching.